welcome back. So let's talk about the Mississippian. We are going to divide those two up. Remember, the Mississippian and Pennsylvanian make up something called the Carboniferous. The term Carboniferous, meaning coal-bearing, is descriptive of coal-bearing layers found from this time period. That's why they call it Carboniferous. In every other part of the world, geologists use the term Carboniferous. However, in North America, we divide up this time period of rock because there are easily divisible younger and older kind of subperiods of the Carboniferous that we see, and we call them the Pennsylvanian and Mississippian. Guess where they were originally found at? Mississippi and Pennsylvania. Geologists, at least North American geologists, justify this based on there being a widespread unconformity that separated the two. Again, missing time. So here's what Carboniferous life would have looked like on Earth. Swampy, thick atmosphere, bugs, amphibians, reptiles eventually getting started throughout the Carboniferous. So the shallows of the ocean here in the Pennsylvania to Mississippi region, that is going to be kind of key to the Carboniferous and these coal-bearing layers. So we see a drop in CO2, kind of a rise in oxygen throughout the whole Carboniferous, and some major glaciation occurred towards the middle and latter parts of the Carboniferous, more so in the Pennsylvanian as we know it. Shallow seas covered most of North America at the time. Mississippian fossils are abundant in the Midwest and South, including beds of limestone and marble. Limestone formed from calcite deposits that form in the shallows of the ocean. One interesting kind of note here is that from these... That was weird. Go away. If you've ever been to Washington, D.C., the dome of the Jefferson Memorial in Washington, D.C. is made of limestone from this time period. Anyway, side note. The period is sometimes known as the Age of Crinoids. It doesn't really roll off the tongue because there's a bunch of these invertebrate organisms as a major component of the limestone created during the Mississippian. Also noteworthy in this period is the first appearance of amphibians. Maybe it should be called the Age of Amphibians. So the Mississippian period represents the last time limestone was deposited widespread on the North American continent. These crinoids, commonly called sea lilies, are these really delicate little organisms that anchor themselves to the sea floor. They resemble plants, but they're more closely related to like sea stars or sea urchins, starfish. Excuse me. From the abundance of crinoids in Mississippian rocks, that helps scientists to infer paleoclimates, warm, clear seas, because that's where these things would have thrived. When the vast quantities of crinoids died during the Mississippian period, their remains became part of the extensive limestone of this age. So this is what fossilized crinoids, sea lilies look like. Oftentimes, you don't get these nice preserved, these are beautiful. Oftentimes, you just see kind of more so their stems, is what I've seen a lot of their fossils as. They're still sea lilies that grow, right? So these are modern day sea lilies. But again, when you're finding fossils of crinoids, often you're just finding their stems, which kind of look like this. Amphibians came to evolve during the Mississippian. They evolved to move out of the water and colonize land, but they still had to return to the water to reproduce. So amphibians, even nowadays, frogs and stuff, they can come on the land. They need to go back to the water to reproduce. The first true amphibians appeared during this time. The Temnospondyle. My Latin is horrible. during the later Pennsylvanian and into the Permian and Triassic into the Mesozoic era, amphibians were extremely diverse, but both small and large. The drying out of swampy areas during the Pennsylvanian time diminished many of the environments for these Paleozoic amphibians, and a number of them had died out. Obviously, there's still amphibians today, so not all of them died out. Amphibians were supplanted in the Triassic by the Age of Reptiles. That's going to be the start of the Mesozoic era, the Age of Reptiles, and we will eventually start to talk about dinosaurs. So here's some examples of some of those different initial amphibians that evolved during the Mississippian. This is a fossil of Ariops. This thing here, Ariops, is super cute. Looks like a little husky little dog that breathes heavily. These look like reptiles, but they're not. They are amphibians. This kind of looks like a crocodile, which is a reptile, but these are all amphibians. Okay, so we're kind of halfway through the Carboniferous, that's the Mississippian period. So we have amphibians taking hold. We have shallow seas across North America. Plant life we didn't really get too much into, but we will a little bit more when we start talking about the Pennsylvania. You know what, before we go, let me give you another part of the super secret code. It is the, capital letter S for shark. Capital letter S for shark. You got me? The capital letter S for shark. Pause here. See you back here in just a second.